I'll do a quick introduction part right now. So I'm just going to this is the part where I actually am going to live stream, or at least I get a recording, because I think a lot of people are curious. I know a lot of people who are unable to join us. They want to know, like, where is crypto going? So I'm just going to do start the recording right here. If you're scared, if you're in a witness protection program, you can just hide yourself. So I'll turn off the camera, right? But aside from that, I'm going to just gonna do a quick introduction for everyone who is gonna be watching us from in the future. Hey everybody, this is Crypto Ed here. Thank you for joining us. I'm pretty excited to have you guys joining us. And I'm just gonna do. I know a lot of people have been asking about, like, is Bitcoin out of the woods, right? We just had this wonderful run up. With Bitcoin going up to about 45, 46K, right? And people are probably wondering, like, whether we will continue on, or are we in a bear trap? So, and I'm excited to have Robert Paddock from Satoshi Saturdays as our guest speaker, who will be sharing about where Bitcoin is headed. So Robert, before you go into this, so a bit about Robert is that Robert has over 27 years of trading. Before in the equity space, and then later on he moved into the crypto space. So I'm excited to have Robert here to share. So Robert, you have the stage now.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate that. I'm not going to spend time introducing myself. Those that are on the call that know me, I've been doing this for years, decades actually, talking about traditional markets, pinpointing recessions before they happened, being a keynote speaker for cryptocurrency at convention centers, and teaching about the blockchain space and trading, because it's important not just to have an allocation of which big stable coins or different altcoins you're having in your portfolio, but also by time period, how long you're going to hold on to those positions. So I teach people how to get in and out, not just holding on for dear life forever when things are changing. You know, Elon Musk, he said, times are changing faster and faster with artificial intelligence. He's worried about what's going on with that. And technology changes faster than anything these days, especially. So being able to be just parked in one thing and just leaving it alone to rot, I call it, is not the best approach or strategy. It's having a part of your portfolio to be able to get in and out and adapt and change with the times, or get left behind. So, definitely these charts, I'm just going to go really fast. I am going to mention that there are things that you can see happening in the world of the fundamentals. So yes, I do teach about whenever you're doing any kind of analysis. First of all, I'm not a licensed financial advisor. I'm just teaching based on education purposes, but I analyze 4 different ways. So I look at charts, yes. I look at fundamentals and news, yes. I look at the mood and sentiment of the market, because all it takes is one post, one tweet by an influencer or celebrity to throw off a chart. And definitely you need to pay attention to what they're saying. And what the consensus is doing is irrelevant, because first of all, you got 15% only of the market are retail traders that are beginners. And what they're going to do, even though they vastly outnumber the participants in the markets, their dollar value, where money talks, where it actually impacts supply and demand, is minuscule compared to institutional and whale and celebrity traders. So definitely we're going to pay attention to them, what they're saying and what they're doing. Right. But realize that the charts is what I'm going to go talk about right now, just for education purposes, not for talking about anything to do with giving financial advice. Yes, I've been highly accurate. I have actually, I do calls like these 2 weeks ago. I did a presentation talking about how, yes, we were stuck in this channel. And I said that no longer we will be stuck in there. So we were kind of going back and forth. It was choppy, but I actually went out on a limb. And despite this indicator being at the top, ready for a decline, I went out on a limb and declared that this could actually go back up to 40 or 45,000. That's just education on how to read the chart. And despite being the indicator working against me, with my gut feeling, you could call it, but there's my instinct, which has been tailored over decades of researching traditional markets, and it allowed me to implement that into crypto trading to have an edge to foresee what will happen next. I can actually pinpoint with high accuracy what is going to happen with high probability. So you can see there are justifications here. Those that are more well-versed in trading can see a divergence here that I caught, which allowed me to be confident to see this current level where we're at. So that's why Ed has asked me to, highlight my findings because they keep repeating time and time again, one after another after another. And not only do I get the direction right, I get the distance right, and also the reasoning behind that. So, this is a learnable skill. I want you to know, just because I've been doing it for 28 years doesn't mean that you can't learn this in 28 days. Okay. There are things that you can learn if you know who to learn from and where to learn. But basically, if you're looking at these charts, realize that where we are at right now, you may realize that there's actually something interesting going on. Okay. So let me just pull up Ethereum real quick. All right. So what we've got here, I'm going to go to the daily candles. So every single candle here represents one day. And what we can see here is indeed the reason we caught this run up 13 out of 14 days straight up, despite the indicator being bearish at the time. All right. So you can see at this moment, this indicator was ready to go back down. You just treat this like a roller coaster. All right. The next big move was to the downside. I was still saying that the sentiment, the 4 types of analysis, the sentiment had shifted. All right. So you have this like the mood of the markets. So what happened now, the market went up with the sentiment because we have EIP 1559 just rolled out. Okay. Burning of $15 million a day. That's quite impressive. So, that effect will wear off. I said now we may see some profit taking if people are not satisfied with, wait a minute, we got the EIP 1559. We got a little boost in the prices, in the charts, and in the sentiment. But what about the fees? Did they actually go down? So I love the charts Ed shows where it actually shows you the burn rate. He'll pull that up later. But strictly looking at these charts, we can actually see that there is a pattern formation here that I also recognized where we have an upside down head and shoulders. So this was something I was paying attention to. We saw we exceeded that level. Let me just hide some of these things here so you can see what I'm talking about. All right. So now what we have is a situation where they've actually gone to the next step. Okay. So we can actually have another color. And now we have a different potential head and shoulders. All right. If you want to, you can call that a shoulder. All right. So what happened? We broke above that. And now we've gone the distance, which means usually the height of the head is the height of the target. That's pretty much wrapping up almost. Okay, we're almost there. It can still jump up a little bit more. Now, we could actually say that this is now the new shoulder. So what I'm going to do is draw it like this. That's the head. And if we were to decline right now on Ethereum, which I'm not saying we are yet, but I will in the 30 seconds. But based on what we see here, if this were to drop, this is just going to formulate this pattern, which is still bullish, extremely bullish. And now it's actually even more bullish because of the height. We're looking at all-time high for Ethereum. And how long would that take? A month, approximately. Okay, maybe 2. Now, so this is something powerful. Now, this smaller head and shoulders is part of a bigger one. You have to understand the longer-term risks are still there. That this could also be, time for this to come back down to this neckline, right? So overall, the feeling is mixed in the long term. Like I'm a believer that every coin will get wiped out eventually. I just pay attention to, like I said, the FATF. So that's the Financial Action Task Force, which controls basically what governments are allowed to make laws for anything that threatens the financial system, meaning the traditional banking financial system. Meaning they have fiat tools in their power to absorb all the other coins and control them. Okay, so when you have Binance being attacked by securities regulators, that's actually a sign that they're being told what to do now. They're going to come out of the woods and they're going to continue operating. This time, privacy will be gone. You hear about the infrastructure bill in the US right now, $1 trillion for building stuff. They're actually saying how they're going to fund that is with taxes. There was a backlash. That's not good for crypto adoption. Also, even though they've backtracked on that part with the taxes, there's still an attack on the privacy and of those exchanges to see tracking every single person who is buying how much crypto. So you're living in uncharted times where you can actually still get crypto potentially without people knowing. But by the end of this year, that will change thanks to courtesy of these, financial action task force. They don't even need a event to occur that will be blamed on funded with crypto to be able to then say we need to control and observe who's using crypto. They're just doing it. Okay. And they're saying this openly. So I'll go over this on Saturday. I do every Saturday a call. This Saturday, I'm going to actually go over this because Ed knows me. I'm usually 6 months to a year to 2 years in advance of the rest of the market with my predictions. And again, I'm not a licensed financial advisor. I'm just strictly sharing information I come across. I know how to sift through all the fluff and all the noise to focus in on what is actually meaningful and news that you don't want to ignore. And I that's why I decided to put this on every Saturday. It's free to attend. Anyone can enter that room at that time. So go ahead, take a picture of that. And absolutely, if anyone does want to also get a hold of myself, they can feel free to do so. It's robertpaddock.com. I'll drop the link in the chat here on the Zoom. If anyone does want to book with me, I've also got a broker there someone asked about, but that's just if you're doing, you have to understand what you're doing first. You have to learn properly how to trade. What are the pros and cons of each broker? But definitely, it definitely helps to see the chart. So what did we see? Right. So going back to this Ethereum, you see the long-term chart here. I actually saw this head and shoulders on Ethereum as well as Bitcoin, not this current shoulder when it was the smaller one. I should draw it perfectly here. So what we're seeing is we were at a make it or break it moment where crypto in general was going to be impacted significantly if we fell below that red line, to the point where Ethereum and Bitcoin could have gotten wiped out. Okay. We were just a couple $1,000 away for Bitcoin, a couple $100 away for Ethereum. All right. So we're now far away from that level. Dogecoin actually did fall below. All right. So I actually made fun of Elon Musk saying for Dogecoin that it was not smart to say that it is out of the woods, because you can see here it has not recovered. All right. So putting his whole reputation on the line for that coin, I said, was going to be fatal for any credibility he has left, because it has to double just to get back to the neckline. Right. So I actually made a bold prediction. Not only will Ethereum and Bitcoin jump 2 weeks ago, I actually said Dogecoin would not. And you can see it actually went flat for those 13 days until a couple of days ago. So it's actually cool. If you learn one thing I do teach people is to compare different coins. So if I go BTC USD, and I can also compare Ethereum USD onto the same chart, let's now zoom into the past few days. All right. And we can actually see what's going on. So since that time period, you can see while these two went up, Dogecoin went flat, which made me now more bullish on Dogecoin. By comparing ratios of different coins, you can learn what is good value and what is bad value. Even good coins have good times and bad times to buy them, and bad coins have good times and bad times to buy them, like good value and bad value. So you can see, is it a coincidence that Dogecoin shot up exactly to where Bitcoin was? Of course, Ethereum, the blue line, is still the clear winner right now. The sentiment is still bullish for the next, we said 2 months ago that for the next 2 months, you want to pay attention to Ethereum. You don't want to be betting against it, even though on my chart, I actually did draw a, there's the trade we said to the upside here. You can see we're actually a lot more bullish. So let's clear these lines here. So you can see the target here for Dogecoin is actually needs to go to 42 cents here. So we actually do have a bullish trade currently on it. All right. But let's go to Ethereum. That's the important one, right? So right now, I've actually opened up a bearish trade. Okay, this is not financial advice. It's just showing that even though I have a bullish long-term stance, or should I say medium-term stance, I do also see a potential trade to the downside right now. All right. Down to 2,700 is my target, potentially. Some profit taking for Ethereum currently. Okay, this is quite a steep run up we've had. Only 2 red or 3 red candles, right? And so this means that I'm just looking at Fibonacci levels. I can see 2 of them overlap. I've got a longer term Fibonacci level here based on this peak from here going down to this bottom here and back up. We've actually gone back up to the 61% level, not the 50% level. So we're currently at that level right now. It's going to be hard to penetrate that. Also, I've drawn a secondary Fibonacci you can see going from this recent 2-week period from here to here, the current price. There's no guarantee we're at the peak, but if we are assuming that there is, how far down would it drop? You can actually see there's a perfect confluence here that the 38%, which is a very popular decline percent amount, coincides perfectly with the 50% level of the 38% level. Wow, they're both 38%. So for me, I would be extremely surprised if we don't hit 2,700 for now. Well, keep in mind, that is only going to make me more bullish, right? Because remember, don't forget, we've got this shape here that completed. We also have this current one that is in progress. That would simply draw out this pattern, the black lines, which is extremely bullish. We're talking about a move this big that we can then translate after we break above that. So we're looking at probably 5,000 Ethereum or so. Okay, that is possible. So definitely you want to understand that no coin is guaranteed to survive. If there are coins that can be mandated by governments, thanks to FATF, I call it. It's actually FATF. But the fat cats, I think, in my head, right? So they're telling the governments what to do. So they can single-handedly wipe out coins or create Fed coins or central bank digital currencies. They've actually renamed the term from central bank or virtual currencies. They're now using the word virtual assets. That's a big change that they recently implemented. Okay, so definitely NFTs, everything is involved. Definitely sit down with me if you like to, robertpaddock.com. We can talk more. But the best thing to do is go to Satoshi Saturdays every noon PST or 3 p.m. Eastern. That's www.satoshisaturdays.live. As the name suggests, we talk about what is really happening in the crypto space in the last 7 days and the next 7 days. You can also see the replays of these calls that are recorded and streamed live in our crypto trading group. I do have a stock trading group with 133,000 members, but we specifically created one just for cryptocurrencies. And you want to make sure you're added to that. Again, it's free. And that's where we'll see in the announcement section, the video of the last call we did. So definitely it helps to be around people like Ed, who have been around people such as myself, who have been in the space, crypto space that is, for 5 years, and also wrote articles about them, presented on stages as keynotes, and also had decades of experience watching traditional markets and regulatory environments, because we do get an edge. And I will be putting together some presentations. That's why I said, Ed, if you need help with anything, I can help you put presentations about how to select the broker, what are the pros and cons to look out for. And also, this is a perfect time in history. We're about to have the greatest transfer of wealth in history. Ethereum and Bitcoin are definitely going to be involved in this. And there are ways to learn how to read these charts. It's not rocket science. If you have someone show you properly how to do it, this is a skill that anyone can learn. If I go to the 1 hour chart and every time frame this works, you can actually pinpoint tops and bottoms. So right now, this chart, in a matter of 1 second with my trained eye, I can tell what it will say, that it is the highest probability. No indicator is guaranteed, but right now I'm looking at a divergence here where this looks like this is declining from the MACD, right? And from that same point in time here, this tells me it agrees with my stance here that 2,900 is extremely possible. It's, in fact, will surprise me if it doesn't hit 2,900 with this single line that I've drawn on here, which I've been drawing for decades. And if I were to go back and start earlier, what does it tell you? Well, look at this. We're just going to clone everything else. We can see that's actually 2,500. Okay, so between 2,400, 2,600, and 2,800 is my range currently that I'm paying attention to. This is not financial advice. It's strictly just this one chart, what it's telling me and how I read it. And that's just a potential skill, but that's all I have time for. So definitely make sure you're there on Saturday. Check out our group, Crypto Trading News, I believe it is called, facebook.com/groups. I'll drop it in the chat too. So you can find it more easily. Make sure you're adding to that one here. And yeah, we'll compare a lot more altcoins too, because I do trade a lot of them, and I showed you where I trade them and how and why. So that's thanks, Ed, for letting me share this. But we do look a little bit toppy here, and definitely you can see some trend lines establishing here that we managed to stay above it. Okay, we did manage to stay above that. And these are hourly candles. So in the last 5 hours, we managed to avert crisis. But I'm saying that it's only a matter of time this steep line will be crossed, because even if we just go sideways from here, that will cross below that line. That'll open up the door to selling. And 2,800 screams in my ear, a level that I'll be surprised if we don't hit it. In fact, you can see I have a trade open here to that extent, to the downside. At 2,700, I may re-enter. I'm not so keen on shorting Ethereum during this historical time of Ethereum, but it may be time to take some profit off the table. If you are learning how to trade with people like myself, I actually do teach people how to use stop losses, where you just move your stop loss to break even, and then you let the price keep going up forever. You can keep locking in your profit with protection, so you actually have a risk-free trade at that point forward. So it's a learnable skill. You don't want to be just parked in one thing, because things are changing all the time. And regulators are not just going to roll over and go away, and banks are not just going to disappear. They're going to do everything in their power. And there is infighting happening as we speak with who will dominate the other side of this great reset we're about to have with currencies in not just cryptos. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys on Saturday.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Robert. Yeah, it's pretty good insight to see where things are at. I know that a lot of people are they're either in the disbelief stage, or they are like mooning in right now. They're like just buying in blindly, and it's good to get your insight on like where it's headed. And so yeah, so if you do want to hear more of Robert, so do check out his Satoshi Saturday series, 12 o'clock noon Pacific Standard, so 3 p.m. On the for Eastern. So yeah, I'm just going to open up the floor for Q&A, for any last minute Q&As before we wrap up. We have about like 10 to 20 minutes to see if people have any other questions. And bit of announcement for next session. So in 2 weeks, the next session we're going to be covering a bit about other income generating ways within the blockchain space. So I'll be covering a bit more about the DeFi space, some of the platforms on the Matic network, and other and maybe if we have time, we may go into like other like a past. I try to avoid the word passive income, because a lot of these you do have to be active, right? You have to be at least have semi-active monitoring, right? Because so these are like somewhat passive income like opportunities, right? And this is without needing to know too much, right? So these are mostly just like yield farming, or even just lending crypto. So there's a lot of options out there. So that's what we're going to be covering in 2 weeks. So it's like, yeah, semi-passive income opportunities within the crypto space. So let's open up the floor. I'm going to check, see if people have any questions, but I'm going to check.
I think you're still live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, I'm just going to start the live stream, I guess, in case that helps. So yeah, so for everyone who's watching from live stream, thanks for joining us today, and I'll see you guys in